Hi everyone, it's John. It is not Tuesday, but for the past couple of weeks I've been really preoccupied with things and which has made other anxiety-inducing worldly things sort of fall into the background. So I haven't forgotten about you, and I remembered a conversation that I had a couple of months ago, I think it was now, with Peg from the History Shelf. She had mentioned in passing that it would be interesting for me to show some books from my library that were published by university presses. And I think I remember something going on towards the end of 2019 where people were pulling books from their shelves uh, from university presses and just showing them off. These are 8 books, none of which I have read. Okay, and as proof, one of them is even in the original cellophane wrapping from about 8 years ago. So what I'll do is I'll just read you the blurb on the back, a paragraph or two from each book, instead of having to describe a book I haven't read, and that's probably a fairer summary. In most cases, the title will tell you what it's about. I'll show you the title, the author, and who published it, which university press it's coming out of. So I have 8 books here for you today. They're a pretty representative sample of my interests. Social science and history heavy. There is no fiction here. There's no fiction here. The first one is, and I have the angelic light because I opened up this window that's behind me on my desk, so if you get some glare, my apologies, but it's called Christianity and Classical Culture, The Metamorphosis of Natural Theology in the Christian Encounter with Hellenism by Jaroslav Pelikan. And this is actually a series of lectures that he gave. It is nonetheless a very substantial book, but it's a series of, let's see, which lectures were these? They were the Gifford Lectures from 1992-1993, the Gifford Lectures on Natural Theology. So the back reads, the momentous encounter between Christian thought and Greek philosophy reached a high point in 4th century Byzantium, and the principal actors were 4 Greek-speaking Christian thinkers from Cappadocia, 3 men and a woman, whose collective influence on the Eastern Church was comparable to that of Augustine on Western Latin Christendom. In this erudite and informative book, a distinguished scholar provides an integrated account of the writings and thoughts of the Cappadocians, showing how they managed to be Greek and Christian at the same time. Jaroslav Pelikan, for those who don't know, I think I had the pleasure of introducing Peg to Jaroslav Pelikan. She asked me about him once, the book I held up, and said, "Who is that?" And I said, "Oh, he's a religious scholar that you definitely should get your hands on if you like the I'd say the culture of early Christianity." But he wrote on a lot of different things. So if I can introduce Peg, and by the way, the goal of this video is to get Peg to buy at least one thing, one of these 8 things. The more she buys, the more cookies I can eat tonight. Okay, so what do you think? I think Peg might actually like this. It's about how Greek culture sort of bumps up against Christian culture, and what happens from the synthesis. I already showed Peg this, but it is one that I wanted to talk about. It's called Basel in the Age of Burckhardt, a study in unreasonable ideas by Lionel Gossman. And this one has a pretty short and to the point summary on the back. This remarkable history tells the story of the city republic of Basel in the 19th century and of 4 major thinkers who shaped its intellectual life: the historian Jakob Burckhardt, philologist Johann Jakob Bachhoven, theologian Franz Overbeck, and philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche. Oh, and I didn't do something I told you I would do. This was published from Yale University Press. This is from the University of Chicago. This next one is also from the University of Chicago, and it is called The Forbidden Image, The Intellectual History of Iconoclasm by Alain Besançon, or Besançon. The back reads, this is my only, I guess what you could call art history book of the 8. Philosophers and theologians have long engaged in intense debate and introspection over the representation of the deity, its possibilities, and its proscriptions. The Forbidden Images traces the dual strains of iconophilia and iconoclasm, the privileging and prohibition of religious images over a span of 2.5 millennia in the West. Alain Besançon's work begins with a comprehensive examination of the status of the image in Greek, Judaic, Islamic, and Christian thought. The author then addresses elements regarding the moral authority of the image in European Christianity from the medieval through the early modern periods. Besançon completes the Forbidden Image with an examination of how iconophilia and iconoclasm have been debated in the modern period. So this is a book that, again, I have not read, but I have read other books by him. Walter Ong, as you can tell by the SJ there, when he was with us and alive, he was a member of the Jesuits, the Society of Jesuits, and he wrote a lot on the influence of technology and the transition from oral to written culture, and what that does to human thought, how human thought operates differently in a dominantly oral culture, and how it is transformed by a culture dominated by writing. Fascinating stuff. This is a book that he wrote on the Renaissance figure Rammus. This is called Rammus Method and the Decay of Language, From the Art of Discourse to the Art of Reason. The back says, Renaissance theologian, philosopher, humanist, and teacher Peter Rammus, whose dates were 1515 to 1572, is best known for his attack on Aristotelian logic, his radical pedagogical theories, and his new interpretation of the canons of rhetoric. His work, published in Latin and translated into many languages, has influenced the study of Renaissance literature, rhetoric, education, logic, and more recently, media studies. A canonical text for enthusiasts of media, Renaissance literature, and intellectual history, Rammus Method and the Decay of Dialogue is an elegant review of the history of Rammus scholarship and his quarrels with Aristotle. A key influence on Marshall McLuhan, with whom Ong enjoys the status of honorary guru among technophiles. This challenging study remains the most detailed account of Rammus's method ever published. Okay. The shortest book of the bunch. This is by... Oh, did I show you this was published by... Yeah, this is published by University of Chicago as well. So this one is also from... We don't have any more Chicago books, do we? Okay. This is also from the University of Chicago. This is How Philosophers Saved Myths. The subtitle is too small for me to read on the screen there. Allegorical Interpretation and Classical Mythology. The back. In this concise, and it is, but wide-ranging study, Luc Bresson describes how the myths of Greece and Rome were transmitted from antiquity to the Renaissance. He argues that philosophy was ironically responsible for saving myth from historical annihilation. Although philosophy was initially critical of myth, mythology was progressively reincorporated into philosophy through allegorical exegesis. Bresson explores how allegory was employed among philosophers and how it enabled myth to take on a number of different interpretive systems throughout the centuries: moral, physical, psychological, political, and even metaphysical. 3 more to go. University of California Press at Berkeley. This is a book that if you are one of those geeks like me who is always reading the backs of books for bibliographies and note sections, annotated bibliographies, and you read much in the area of medieval history, this book always shows up. You can count on seeing it in a thorough bibliography of medieval history. It is Holy Feast and Holy Fast: The Religious Significance of Food to Medieval Women by Carolyn Walker Bynum. And this does not really have a blurb on the back that serves as a summary. It has 4 blurbs by writers, one of whom is Natalie Zeman Davis, who is an expert on the late Renaissance and early modern periods, especially in France. But the subtitle there pretty much says it all. I mean, it's about women, food, and how they come together in religious experiences in very, very early modern European culture. Like I said, have not read it, but from brief scans of the book and also just looking at the subtitle, that is what it's about. It is quite a study. It is with notes and everything. It's verging on 450 pages. So she has a lot to say about the subject, and I want to read this eventually, because not only do I like the history of the time period, but sometimes it's nice taking a deep dive into kind of, I guess, pigeonholed histories like this. This is from Oxford. This is Absent Minds by Stefan Collini. The subtitle there is Intellectuals in Britain. And the back of the book says, have intellectuals ever existed in Britain? That's a provocative question. Insofar as they have, are they mere pale interpretations of the real thing? Are they anyway now on the point of extinction? With his characteristic combination of acuity, elegance, and wit, Stefan Collini addresses these issues in this first full-length study of the question of intellectuals in Britain, ranging from the late 19th century to the present. So I guess those rhetorical questions at the very beginning of the summary might give you some clue as to his conclusions. But yeah, asking if Britain has ever had intellectuals is almost outrageous. Okay, one more, and by probably quite a margin, the biggest book of them all. This is the only one from Johns Hopkins. This is Michael McKeon's The Secret History of Domesticity. It is Michael McKeon, yeah. Okay. And this, with notes and everything, I know it looks probably like it's about 1,200 pages. It's actually under 900. It's just made with really good thick paper. So the back has a bit of a longer blurb. I'll read you the whole thing. Taking English culture as its representative sample, The Secret History of Domesticity asks how the modern notion of the private-public relation emerged in the 17th and 18th centuries, along with the institution of domesticity. This book draws upon the entire spectrum of English people's experience. At the most public extreme are political developments like the formation of civil society over against the state, the rise of contractual thinking, and the devolution of absolutism from monarch to individual subject. The middle range of experience takes in the influence of Protestant and scientific thought, the printed publication of the private, and the conceptualization of virtual subjects, society, public opinion, the market, the capitalization of production, the decline of the domestic economy, and the increase in the sexual division of labor. The most private pole of experience involves the privatization of marriage, the family, and the household, and the complex entanglement of femininity, interiority, subjectivity, and sexuality. A capacious and synthetic historical investigation, The Secret History of Domesticity, exemplifies how the methods of literary interpretation and historical analysis can inform and enrich one another. Another book I've wanted to read for so long, but I've just never reached for. It certainly seems like a chore, but probably a rewarding one. So yeah, there you go, the Secret History of Domesticity. So there you go, 8 books in 17 minutes. I will now go and make another video since I did not have a chance to make one last week. Gotta keep the masses happy, right? I will see you later. Bye.